Welcome to Beat Diabetes. Today we're going to look at a mystery food that's really not much of a mystery. It is often recommended by nutritionists, and yet it makes your A1c rise higher and higher. This lady says, the advice from the doctors and nutritionists was woefully inadequate. Well, thank God that's not true for every doctor and every nutritionist, but in her case it was. She says, I believed in whole grains for 13 years until my A1c was climbing every 6 months. Now, she doesn't go into a lot of detail, but the way she's talking, I don't think she was eating a lot of sugary treats. I don't think she was eating a lot of chips. But she believed in whole grain bread products for 13 years with just one problem. The A1c kept creeping up every 6 months, a little higher, a little higher, a little higher, a little higher. And finally, she came across my video and probably some others, and she began to realize that whole grain, small grain, they're still going to cause a problem for people that have diabetic tendencies. So she says, thanks for all the great info. Yeah, theory says yes, whole grain should be perfect. And you know, I'm sure many nutritionists have the best intentions when they say things like, stop eating that nasty white bread and those nasty white flour products and start eating whole grain. It just kind of feels good. You know what I'm saying? Just feels good to talk about. Get off the white stuff, get onto the whole grain stuff. Stop eating the white rice by all means and go to the brown rice. Stop eating the white potato, the russet potato, and go to the sweet potato. It makes you feel good, and theory says it ought to work. But Mike the meter, the glucose meter, says it does not work. And if you don't believe it, just try it for yourself. Don't take my word for it, just try it. Problem with a lot of people is they don't try it. They just heard somewhere that if you go from you go from white flour products to whole grain breads, you're good. You are doing everything you can to beat diabetes. And sir or ma'am, you are not doing much of anything. In fact, as this lady says, my A1c just kept getting worse every 6 months. And finally, I stopped believing in whole grain breads. And I just cut them out, is what she's saying. All right, last comment for this particular episode. They give their numbers. This person sent in a note around February, but they go back to the previous August of 2021. He said, my numbers in August of 2021, A1c was 10.2. Then they began applying low-carb eating. By November, so that's not all that long from August, right? August, September, October, November, 3 months difference. August 10.2, November 6.1. Phenomenal. I mean, that is just phenomenal. And most any doctor that gets that kind of results is going to be thrilled and make that individual a poster child for beating diabetes. But then they go on. They say yesterday, February 2022, my A1c was down to 5.4. So 10.2 in August, and then 6.1 in November, and then February of this year, it's down to 5.4. How in the world does that happen? Well, they're going to tell us how it happens. They go on to say, my age is 53 years old. I thank the Lord I found this channel within a day of my shocking diagnosis in August of 21. So they get diagnosed with diabetes, 10.2, and within 1 day, they find the Beat Diabetes YouTube channel. And they start applying what they're learning immediately. 10.2, 6.1 in 3 months, and then by February, which is just 3 more months, 5.4. Well, this 2022 challenge, we said within 6 months, most people should be able to get their A1c into the fives club. And that's the goal. And they're not just at the fives club. They're not even in the upper range of the fives. They're down below midway, 5.4. Fantastic. Not only that, in August, when they were diagnosed with diabetes, their blood pressure was 140/95. And now their blood pressure was 109 over 69. From 140 over 95 to 109 over 69 in a 6 month period of time. Some people will leave a comment and say, well, you ought to start, or somebody ought to start a channel about getting your blood pressure down, just like you've done so well in helping people get their A1c down and their blood sugar down. Well, there's no need for a second channel about blood pressure. The same approach works for both equally well. The same approach, cutting the carbs, time-restricted eating. Usually, if you're overweight, you will lose a lot of weight. Blood pressure goes down, blood sugar goes down, triglycerides go down. Things begin to look good. Energy goes up through the roof. Fantastic. So this person, 10.2, 6.1, 5.4. And so they do us a favor and tell us. Some people don't say. They just say, well, thank you. I've learned a lot and my A1C's gone down. But this person gives a list. How did I change, or what did I change, they say. Number 1, 0 to low carb. I got rid of rice, wheat, and all carbs, or basically most carbs, I think. Most people, when they say I got rid of all carbs, they mean most carbs. My diet is high protein, high fat, eggs, meat, cheese, berries. Well, berries are going to have some carbs. Nuts are going to have some carbs. But it's very low carb. And I limited dairy, especially Greek yogurt. So, got rid of the rice, the wheat, the carbs. They don't say I got rid of the candy bars and German chocolate cake. Why don't they say that? Well, I think they realize, we all know that. Everybody knows that. You get rid of the sugary desserts. But what a lot of people don't realize is those starches are going to do you in, and they have been doing you in. So, once again, here's his list. Eggs, wonderful. Meats, no problem with meat. Cheese, great food. Berries, outstanding. And they add a little spice and flavor to our meals. Nuts, and I love nuts. I've got to watch myself. Some people wonder, when I look at your portion size of your meals, it's not that big. How are you even as big as you are? Well, the answer is a lot of times, even before I eat my meal, I'll have a handful of nuts, or sometimes 2 handfuls. And there's a lot of calories in nuts, but they're low carb and they don't dissolve quickly in your stomach, so they do not spike much, but they do add calories. So I have to watch myself, and I'm always fighting to stay at the right weight, believe it or not. Anyway, that's what they ate. That's what they gave up. They got rid of the rice, wheat, carbs, started eating eggs, meat, cheese, berries, nuts. Then time-restricted eating. Okay, time-restricted eating. They do mention that. It said mostly too mad. Having a late breakfast, an early dinner, no lunch works best for me. Done by 6 p.m., kitchen closed. Love it. So, we all have to work out exactly how our time-restricted eating is going to work. And some people say things like, well, for me, it's better to just not eat supper. And there is one case where that's probably an outstanding way to do a too mad kind of a lifestyle. A lot of people complain that all morning long my blood sugar goes up, that terrible, terrible dawn phenomenon. And it's not so bad when I wake up, or maybe if I wake up in the middle of the night, it's not too bad, but then I wake up and it's higher, and then I go through a couple hours in the morning and it's higher still, and it's just crazy, this dawn phenomenon. Well, for some people, it might work better to go ahead and eat a breakfast, eat a late lunch, and then stop it at that, no dinner. And, you can try that and see if that works for you. So, too mad for this person. 3, no snacking or grazing between meals. Might have a handful of nuts before a walk or exercise. Wow. Well, that's it. You cannot just say, well, I'm going to have a 6-hour window or an 8-hour window, and all that while it's lawful for me to eat just any time within those 8 hours or 6 hours. No. You have a meal at the beginning of your window, have a meal at the end of your window, and try not to have any snacks at all. This person does admit, well, if I go for a walk or exercise, I may have a few nuts. Well, it's working for him, so I'm not going to tell him anything differently. There's no processed food. He's not eating chips. He's not eating pretzels, candy, Twinkies, or anything like that. He's eating healthy, natural, low-carb foods. And it's amazing what happens to your body when you start eating healthy and you throw in some exercise, maybe a little berberine, and your body just flourishes. Your body thrives. When I was young, and I was kind of dumb about flowers, but my dad had made me a flower box. Dad was always very handy with creating things out of wood. And so I was just young in my 20s, and Dad made me a flower box. So I put some dirt in there and I planted some, I forget what they were, marigolds, I believe they were. And I just set them out and I assumed, well, they were outside on the porch, I think. And I just assumed the rain will come enough to keep these things going. But we went through a dry spell and I wasn't really paying attention. So they didn't get any kind of moisture for quite a while. And they were just looking terrible. And I thought, well, these are all dying. There's no hope for these flowers. And then I got the bright idea, well, maybe if I watered them, and stopped depending on the natural rains, maybe if I watered them, they might work. They might come out of it. So I did. I watered my marigolds. And would you believe it, within a few days, they looked healthy and fresh and green and beautiful, and my whole flower box came back to life. They thrived when they got what they needed. Your body is kind of like those marigolds. It's dying. It's not working because you're throwing so much junk at it. You're killing your insides, and you're accumulating liver fat. You're accumulating pancreas fat, and you are just messing yourself up. It's amazing how your body can come out of it and begin to thrive when you stop throwing all the junk at it, start eating healthy food, stop snacking, stop grazing all day long. Just apply a few basic principles, and you'll be like those marigolds. You'll suddenly start to flourish. You'll feel better. You'll look better. You'll be healthier. Your blood pressure will come down. Your blood sugar will come down. Life will begin to look awesome to you because you made a few wise decisions. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. If so, give it a thumbs up. We always ask that because if we get a lot of thumbs up, algorithms will recognize that and they will promote us to others. So that's what we want. We want to be promoted to as many diabetics as possible. Also, consider subscribing so that you'll be notified when we post new videos. God bless. We will see you again soon.